of us. A view from Indianapolis shows you that they're popping up all over the place. They're going to be strong, and they're going to be moving through the tri-state. We also have a tornado watch in effect on areas that I've highlighted in red there. That's Butler, Warren, Clinton, Preble, Montgomery, and Greene counties, and in Indiana, Franklin and Decatur counties. Now I'll be giving you all the latest information on this. Plus, I'll show you a look at the next 30 to 90 days. It's not a pretty sight. Coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Now, in case you're wondering why we're having so many tornadoes in June, it's really not all that unusual. June ranks second for the number of tornadoes each year. The month that ranks first is March.
Well, the threat of these vicious June tornadoes became reality for parts of Kansas and Missouri overnight. 21 people are hospitalized in Emporia, Kansas. The huge twister tore through the small town, leaving the now familiar scenes of damage and uprooted lives. The Kansas National Guard has been called in to guard against looting. Well, the last thing folks in Dearborn, Hamilton, and Butler counties need right now is a threat of more devastating weather. In fact, tomorrow in Harrison and Fairfield, people can sign up for federal help from last weekend's twister. News 5's Jeff Hirsch reports the federal disaster program got underway today in tornado-ravaged Bright, Indiana.
There's still a lot more cleanup to do in Bright. To help with that rebuilding, applications for federal disaster help are now being taken.
The purpose is to help the people recover their losses.
To do that, people can apply for low-interest loans, outright grants, or perhaps even tax refunds. All the appropriate agencies are here at North Dearborn School. Jeff and Cindy Batchelor want help to fix up their mobile home.
Well, it's half on the ground and half up in the air, and there's no blocks holding it up, so no storm hits, I don't want to be there.
Other people brought pictures.
Looks like a war zone. This is one of our neighbors that just lost everything. This is the neighbor lady across the street, and you can see the devastation that it has caused. It's taken off her front porch and these huge, huge old stately trees that have been there for years and years.
The federal disaster people will sort through all the paperwork as quickly as possible so folks can get some money. Now keep in mind the feds will not pay for something your insurance will cover, but they could pay for items your insurance will not, and they could pay for even more if you have no insurance at all.
Bottom line is this: if you have even the slightest doubt over whether you could qualify for federal aid, go ahead and apply. I mean, when you've already lost everything, what else do you have to lose? Jeff Hirsch, News 5.
Federal aid centers opening tomorrow are at Harrison Elementary and Fairfield Freshman Schools. Now, we know there's a lot of interest in this story. Joe will have an update on the weather situation shortly, and we're also working on several other weather reports for you, including a look at the 30 and 90-day weather outlook.
In other news, in Texas tonight, the skies around Houston are filled with thick black smoke after a series of explosions ripped through a chemical plant. Take a look at the smoke and flames here at Solvents and Chemicals Incorporated in Pearland, Texas.
Oh, wow.
The fire was apparently triggered by a spark from a forklift that ignited 55-gallon drums of chemicals. If you look closely, you can see a drum exploding in midair. Miraculously, none of the workers inside the plant died, and only one suffered serious injuries. He has second and third degree burns. A Houston television reporter describes the scene as he saw it when he arrived there.
Field of streams.
The workers have been going for days trying to get the ball fields at Rumpke Park ready for play. They're putting up new fences where last weekend's tornadoes blew them away. A light pole has to be moved into place even though the park doesn't yet have electricity. The old one was snapped in half by the winds.
But even before the tornado hit, Rumpke was having more than its share of problems. Here's the reason why. This glop caused by all the rain we're having. Rumpke lost half of its May schedule alone, and since the tornadoes hit, the park has lost 225 games.
Those are games which they want to make up. Trouble is, they don't know if the weather will let them.
If it keeps it up, I might have to go into another line of work. That's just killing me. I can't stand the rain. I'm sick of it.
At Denier Electric, just up the road, you can find softball bats stuck next to the duct tape. J.R. Williams plays shortstop on the company team, which plays at Rumpke. Trouble is, they've had as many games washed out this year as they've played.
Have to play some double headers just like the Reds.
But the Reds have AstroTurf. Rumpke has grass. Brad Warman tells me the park should be ready for play tonight, if it doesn't rain. Good luck, Brad. Steve Forrest, News 5.
Now, it's not just the grown-ups who can't play their games. Kids playing knot-hole baseball are also having problems. One mother who has two kids says the teams are trying to make up so many games she had her kids playing games at the same time.
Survival of a community ravaged by the elements. it's been a rough week for everybody. It's been a long week, and let's unwind a little bit tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It would be wrong to say that life is anywhere close to being back to normal in the town of Harrison tonight, but the residents there are taking a step back towards normalcy following one of the toughest weeks that town has ever faced.
We'll have more on Harrison's recovery from last weekend's tornadoes in just a moment, but first we want to update you on some rather serious weather passing through our area right now.
Eyewitness 12's meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer is in the Weather Center where he's been tracking the storm throughout the evening. Steve, what's the latest?
Well, Terry and Deborah, so far, so good. So far, no severe weather around the tri-state. Now, some areas in the immediate tri-state do have some fairly gusty thunderstorms, and those thunderstorms, though, have not reached severe limits for the immediate tri-state. Right now, the situation is like this. One tornado watch box expires at midnight. Now, it's already been canceled north of the Ohio River, so for those of you in southeast Indiana, you are no longer under a watch of any sort. In northern Kentucky, this box will expire in just under an hour. A new tornado watch has been issued, which extends from the Ohio line, which includes all of southwest Ohio, all the way over here into West Virginia and Pennsylvania. That tornado watch will be in effect until 3 a.m. and includes all of southwest Ohio, but as of midnight, all of Indiana, all of Kentucky will be out of watches, and it will just be Ohio that's in a tornado watch. Let's go now quickly to radar, and I'll show you what the situation is. Here you see thunderstorms way to the south, thunderstorms way to the northeast, and there are a few gusty little thunder bumpers here in the ground clutter. The situation right now is nothing severe. Terry and Deborah?
All right, Steve, we'll be checking back with you a little bit later.
Okay.
Well, they have suffered through a week of depression, destruction, and endless hours of cleaning up. But tonight, the people of Harrison, Ohio, are trying to break away from it all for a night of fun and relaxation.
Local firefighters are throwing their traditional summer night festival at this hour, but there's a different wrinkle this year. This year, all of the proceeds are going to the tornado victims. Eyewitness 12's Angelique Proctor is in Harrison with the very latest. Angelique.
Well, Terry and Deborah, things are in full swing here on this Friday night in Harrison, as you can see behind me. This is the 10th annual Firefighters Festival, and I personally have had a great time. By the looks of how much fun everybody's having, it's very easy to forget that just 5 days ago, more than 600 homes in this community suffered hundreds and even thousands of dollars worth of damage from a vicious tornado.
Harrison residents come out for a night of food, fun, and frolicking. This Fireman's Festival is a bright spot for a ravished community darkened by a destructive storm.
They're going to donate the proceeds to all the tornado victims, and we thought, well, we'll come up and buy a little something.
Hopefully it'll lift some spirits. There's pretty depressed people around. In '74, our house was destroyed on Graceley Drive, and we were devastated. We knew how everybody here felt, and that's why we're down here tonight trying to get things back to normal.
Normalcy is still far-fetched for fireman John Payne. He assisted in the dramatic rescue of his wife's mother and her two sisters. As he mans this game booth tonight, the shock from last weekend's tornado still stays with him.
It's like it happened last night. It hasn't really settled down.
Harrison firefighters hope the $4,000 or $5,000 they donate to tornado victims tonight will be yet another step in putting this community back together.
Everybody's been uptight and tense. I'm kind of hoping this will be a tension breaker. People can relax, relieve a little stress, just come out and have a good time.
Now, Deborah and Terry, all of the fun and excitement doesn't end here. If you want to get some cotton candy or a Junior Firefighters button like I have, T-shirt, Channel 12 Almanac, it'll all be here tomorrow night from 6 until midnight, so you'll want to join us then. Back to you.
That's great. It's nice to see some smiles and that resilient spirit in Harrison.
It is. Angelique, though, we keep hearing about this tornado watch that's under effect for a lot of the area. Is there any kind of nervousness going on out there because of that?
There certainly is, Deborah. A lot of people have walked up to us and asked us what is the latest on the situation. And in fact, we've kept in close contact with Steve Horstmeyer through the night, and we're glad that we have the good news that it looks like things won't be that bad.
All right. Thank you very much. Angelique Proctor enjoying herself, obviously, with a lot of folks in Harrison.
She sure is. Well, in addition to tonight's fundraiser, federal help is also now available for those hit hard by last weekend's twisters. A relief center opened down in Dearborn County, Indiana this morning. Tomorrow, similar facilities will open in Harrison and Fairfield. A fourth center will open up next week in Beavis. And while federal officials say the money will be available, tornado victims should not expect to walk away with a check.
There are procedures that we follow. And if they follow those procedures, then the help that they would qualify for will be there for them. But it's not an easy, just overnight remedy.
Along with the financial help, emotional help is also available tonight for those still trying to cope with the devastation the storms left behind. Area counselors are working overtime to help families put their lives back together following the tragedy. If you or someone you know needs help, or if you just need somebody to talk to, you can call this number, 367-0294. Once again, that number for help, 367-0294.
A community in Kansas also trying to cope with a series of devastating tornadoes tonight. The town of Emporia was ravaged by a strong tornado last night, which destroyed several homes and businesses and left 20 people injured. 2 more twisters swept through the same town today, but caused no additional damage.
Police say it is one of the largest drug sweeps in Ohio history. And
Smiles have replaced tears. Country music has replaced the sound of storm sirens. It's the 10th annual Harrison Firemen's Festival, and it literally has Harrison people dancing in the streets. Last Saturday, though, there was a different scene in Harrison when tornadoes destroyed dozens of homes here. It's a sight no one here has forgotten. In fact, all the proceeds from this year's festival will go into a Harrison Tornado Relief Fund.
I feel very fortunate, and I feel very sorry for everyone that's hurt. So, besides, I've lived here 18 years, and I work here, and so we're just here to help.
But Narita Piney is here for a different reason. Call it therapy. She spent the last 6 days cleaning up her damaged home in the Meadows subdivision. Tonight, she says, she needed a break.
I mean, I stood at my door when it went through the house, and I just needed to get out. The people of Harrison needed this.
And that's exactly why firefighters say this year's festival will be another successful one. They thought about canceling it after the tornado hit, but now they know that this is exactly what Harrison needs to put them on the road to recovery. In Harrison, Suzanne Gatto, Channel 9 News.
We're not the only ones here. Still ahead tonight, a Kansas town in danger's path.
A Kansas man uses his home video camera to capture the twister that tore through his town. And then later, Bob Allen will have the latest on our weather. We'll be right back in a moment. Camera to capture the twister that tore through his town. And then later, Bob Allen will have the latest on our weather. We'll be right back in a moment. Video shows you the funnel cloud just before it roared through the town of Emporia, Kansas. In no time at all, the tornadoes tossed cars around like toys and flattened homes like you see there, and also flattened a business area in an 8-block spot. 21 people were injured here in Emporia. So, boy, the Plain States are getting battered, too.
That looks a lot like Harrison, doesn't it?
Part of Tornado Alley there, where, you know, you do get a lot of thunderstorms, and a lot of tornadoes spawn from those thunderstorms, and once they get going, they can go for a long way. Yeah, the one that started in southeastern Indiana, ripped through Harrison last weekend and then into southwestern Ohio. Of course, that path wasn't very long, but the one thing it had in common with conditions around a lot of portions of the east is that it was muggy outside. The air was very still, just like it is tonight, and we continue to increase the humidity levels, and we're just waiting for something to nudge it out. And of course, we can't get it nudged out and return to calmer, quieter, and more comfortable conditions until some cooler air gets here to push the warm, muggy air out. And of course, then we can't get to that stage until we have some thunderstorms. Tornado watch continues in effect for southwestern Ohio until 3 a.m. Saturday morning, for northern Kentucky and southeastern Indiana until midnight. We'll explain a little bit more. We'll get another recent view of super radar in a couple of seconds. Right now, your day-to-day looks this way. 80 degrees our temperature at this hour, relative humidity at 90%.